Welcome to the All Booked podcast, where librarians Ashley, Justin, Brittin, and Rosa talk about what they're reading and adding to each other's TBR list.
Hello, and welcome back to the All Book Podcast. We are your Ridgewood Public Library librarians, and we are back for another episode. This is set to drop July 2nd. We are in our 5th season, episode 10, and Brittin is going to kick us off today.
Why, thank you. Okay, so I read Julie Soto's YA debut, The Thrashers.
You got thrashed.
So that's part of it, right? Okay, so our heroine, Jody, our protagonist, Jody, has been best friends with Zach Thrasher since like 2nd grade. And she's positive that that's the only reason, that long-term friendship, why she's part of the Thrashers, which is they don't call themselves that, but everybody else does. It's Zach's cool kid clique. Okay. Zach and Julian and Paige and Lucy are all gorgeous, super rich, have, all sorts of amazing things happening in their life. And they've created this group, this clique. And Jody just feels like she's short, she's plain, she definitely has money problems, she feels like she's overweight, she doesn't know how she fits in or why she fits in. But she has been a member of this group. So like most super cliques, the Thrashers can be kind of toxic, and they're called the Thrashers by the rest of the student body, and when somebody gets shunned or bullied by them, it's being thrashed. Okay?
Okay.
Setting up the scene.
Got it.
Our book opens with Emily saying, "I died on my prom night," and you come to find out that she's committed suicide, and the final 2 words she says are the Thrashers.
So ominous.
So she had tried to worm her way into the group. She was kind of odd. She didn't take any hints. She would overhear them saying they were going somewhere, and she would just jump in the car with them. And Paige feels really guilty that somehow they weren't clear with her that she wasn't a part of the group and led to this. But she's also completely floored when the police and Emily's parents say the Thrashers drove her to this and we're charging you. And they have a diary that proves it. But the diary also comments, and Emily's parents are like, "We're not charging you because we know you were her actual friend. Thank you so much for convincing her not to commit suicide back in April."
Wow.
And Jody's like, "What?" I don't know what
I don't
you're talking
remember
about.
that. Yeah.
So she starts investigating on her own, and starts questioning her friends. They don't quite say, "No, we never did anything." And I guess she wasn't with them on one of the last days, and, et cetera, et cetera. But another wrinkle is that Emily used to claim that she could make the lights flash around her. Like if a light would be blinking, she'd say, "Oh, that's me. I do that." And now it's happening.
Oh.
So
There are like 15 different books that are running through my head right now. It's like this. It's like that too. It's like that too.
Well, it's a
My
combination.
God.
Wow.
Yeah.
So Paige is convinced that Emily's haunting them. And bad things do start happening, and just before they happen, the lights flash, and they're taking selfies, and there's this weird flare in the camera.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So it's all very cool.
It's like an episode of Are You Afraid of the Dark? It's like the camera.
So I thought it was really great. I quite enjoyed the relationships between the Thrashers. I really thought it did a great job of looking at your insecurities, and it's always, everybody else's life is always perfect from the outside, right? But, she starts to kind of get to know some of them a little bit more. Paige is totally melting down because of this whole haunting. Everybody else is freaked out because they're being charged with essentially...
They're freaked out for real reasons.
Yeah.
The cops are right.
For murder.
Yeah. I thought there was a lot of plot twists. It definitely was, I thought, the pacing was really good. I keep saying I thought.
Well, it is your opinion.
I guess it is my opinion. So I definitely recommend it. I have it when you said there's a bunch of books running through your minds.
Yeah.
I had it kind of as like a Mean Girls meets One of Us is Lying.
Ooh.
Heather's also popped into my head at one point. Like, is that what
Like
this
that's
really
it.
is?
That's like a
And,
name.
you
Like
know,
that's the
yeah.
name.
So
Well, it's the clicks.
Yeah.
it's,
you know.
yeah. I saw somebody mention Pretty Little Liars when talking about it. I mean, you know.
I never really got into Pretty Little Liars. I missed that
No.
boat a while ago. So,
Yeah.
but I
But-
understand the theme and
connection.
the
Yeah. But I really enjoyed it. I felt like there was a lot of being able to see yourself in it. Like, why are these really super cool people talking to me? You know, that sort of a thing.
Yeah.
And then being like, oh my God, maybe they're not that cool. Maybe they're monsters. You know.
So cool.
I mean, maybe they're evil or not.
All right.
Is this a standalone? Like, does it
Yes.
conclude?
I believe it. I mean, I suppose there could be some sort of, but it did not feel like there was any cliffhanger.
All right.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Sometimes you just want a one-off, you know?
I often just want a one-off. So,
Yeah, I hear ya.
especially when it's a new book, you don't want to have to
Yeah.
wait another year,
It's the worst.
right?
It's the worst. Or several years.
Right.
I'm looking at you, George R. R. Martin. Anyways, I guess my turn. I will start off my spiel here with a disclaimer that I was such in a reading rut this time around. This was I took out like 5 different books and could not get into any of them. And I was
that's
very
rough.
disappointed. This one, though.
Wait, I'm sorry. Did you go back to our podcast where we talked
we
about
did.
how to get
yeah,
out of?
I did. And I grabbed.
What episode was that, Justin?
I
Could
don't
you put the plug
remember.
in?
Don't remember exactly. Olivia, look it up. But the book that I did pick was something I don't normally like to read. It is kind of a thriller horror type, and as everybody here knows, that's not my cup of tea. So I stepped out of my little shell and read something that I normally wouldn't, and it got me out of my reading slump, which
See?
it works.
It works.
That was
It
one of
works.
the.
She's very quick to recommend it to me.
Yes.
Like, all right.
I'm already halfway through it. So.
I read it and I was like, this is like such an Ashley book. So it's called The Corruption of Hollis Brown by Kay Ancrum. This is their 3rd book, I believe. It's about, the main character's name is Hollis Brown, and he is just kind of living in a small town that's kind of on its way out. It's rotting. You live there. You're a townie. You're there forever. And basically, it's like a very blue collar type of place. And the only things that kind of make life worth living for Hollis is his 2 best friends, and they're actually considered fairly cool girls. They're the cool chicks in school.
Thrashers?
They're not Thrashers.
They're not Thrashers. No Zach Thrasher in Hollis Brown.
And there's a weird thing that he does where he likes to fight. Like he kind of doesn't.
Likes to be beaten
He likes
up.
to
He
be
doesn't
beaten
even
up.
fight
Yeah,
back.
it's weird. That was a little
I
bit
don't
confusing.
think he likes it, but he likes to mouth off. He has a hard time not saying, you're never getting out of this town. So.
Exactly. Yes. So so there is this place in their town that's kind of known to be haunted. And they all kind of decided that they're going to just stay there and, ghosts, and like kind of deal with that. So something happens where one of the boys that he doesn't get along with basically gets slashed up, like crazy slashed up. And he is the only one out of the whole group to kind of step up and be like, we got to take him to the hospital. He's like bleeding. There's nothing we could do here. So this all happens. And then he gets separated from the group and he meets this stranger on a crossroads. And if anybody's watched Supernatural, you never, ever make deals with anybody you meet at a crossroad. It's just a rule. And you find that Hollis gets possessed by a ghost named Walt. Oh This is where the story just went off the handle, and it was so good. I don't want to give too much away, but the inner monologue and struggle between Hollis and Walt fighting for, I guess, control over the steering wheel is amazing. I could not stop reading because I was like, what's this guy's deal? Where, like, you are trying to uncover the mystery behind Walt. What is he doing? How long has he been doing this for whatever? And what is he?
Yeah.
Is he a demon? Is he a ghost? What is happening?
Right.
But also at the same time, he's kind of fallen in love with him. So it's like, what? Sorry, it's crazy. I'm telling you, You'll see. I know it sounds crazy, but oh my God! Like,
I texted Justin when I got to that part. Like, wait a minute.
It got a little spicy.
Wasn't expecting that turn.
But yeah, if you can imagine being inside, being possessed, and sharing a body with somebody that you're potentially kind of into. I mean, Hollis was confused. I was confused, and it was but it was well done. Like, there was both their voices were very distinct, in my opinion, and like
even though they have the same voice.
Exactly. But it's very clear. It's very clear who is talking even to the friends. Like, who is this now and who is that? And I liked it. I like the food aspect too. There's a lot of like cooking and baking and stuff that
odd combination of
Ashley,
things.
there's so much happening in this book.
Works.
But
It's
it
all
works
working,
so
yeah.
well. I don't know what it is, but it's just it just makes so much sense, and it's so great. And when you finally like try to uncover what is actually happening with Walt, where he comes from, why he's stuck. And then his friends start to realize, like, oh, Hollis is being weird. Like, he's starting to look good. He's, like, being nicer, not getting into, like, fight.
Hair.
Like, he's, like, he doesn't smell like metallic scent. He actually smells nice. Like,
Spider-Man 3. But better.
but, yeah, so this book is doing a lot, and it seems like a lot, but it does it so well. Like, it's very seamless, and you really start to care about Hollis and Walt, and like, how are they going to make this work? Like, what is going to happen in the end? And it's kind of like there's a little scare to it.
I have theories.
You have theories.
I
I am almost done with it. Brittin is halfway done.
Almost halfway.
But I have very high hopes that it's gonna be a good ending.
And
I hope.
I should probably say I'm almost halfway through. I think I started it yesterday.
Oh my gosh.
Wow. So yeah,
It's really, you can't put it down. It's
Right.
good.
It
It's
was
really
definitely
good.
one of those where I was like, go eat whatever leftovers you can find.
It's interesting. Most possession stories that I've read, there have been a bunch. You don't end up like sympathizing with.
Well, that's part of it.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
Possessor.
And that, I mean, I feel like Walt would agree with you.
Yeah.
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 Walt's like, but he talks about, because one of the questions, he's allowed to ask questions, but Walt doesn't have to answer. So one of the questions Hollis asks is, what happened to the last person?
Yeah.
Oh,
And
geez.
he talks about they just scream, like they can't accept it at all. So they're just like, their internal monologue is just screaming.
And there
What's
were
happening to me?
and you find out like it's been years and he's had several different bodies that he's possessed, and like some people he's gotten along with, some
Right.
people he hasn't. It's wild. It's wild. It's so good though. Please, everybody read it. That's it for me.
I'll read that. Who's next? Do you want to go?
Sure.
So, mine is another horror.
We did this purposely for you.
Okay.
Okay.
Ashley's in a real life horror. She's not in a fantasy.
I actually just finished a possession horror, but that one's really gory. So I'm
no,
not gonna.
yeah.
Okay.
That has some reservations. This one is kind of gory too. So this is Bat Eater and Other Names for Cora Zeng by Kylie Lee Baker. So if you avoid pandemic books, maybe avoid this, because this is straight, like, full on just 2020 madness. So we meet our protagonist, Cora Zeng. She is a Chinese American girl who doesn't feel like she has direction in life. So she lives with her more glamorous, more put together sister, and because their dad went back to China, and her mom, who she doesn't share with her sister, is in a cult in Wisconsin.
Oh,
So
All right.
yeah, so this is around. It starts off, I think, around March or April 2020, just when everything closed. Everybody's
at the height.
panicking over toilet paper. So she and her sister are coming home from the grocery, having bought a bunch of toilet paper, and they're waiting in the subway. And when we open, a man in a mask basically grabs her sister, shouts "Bat Eater," and pushes her onto the tracks just as a train comes in.
Oh my God.
And the only thing left is like her body's still on the on the platform. Her head is gone.
Wow.
Fast forward.
before lunch.
Jeez.
Yeah, fast forward. Cora is dealing with this by suppressing it. So she has a job as a crime scene cleaner.
Oh, great.
Already in advance?
Yeah.
All right, so she's used to this kind of thing.
No, she gets a job after
She
because
gets a job.
yeah, because this is her weird way of coping.
Oh my God.
Because she's a germaphobe and she needs to clean everything, especially after this, because all she can picture is what happened.
Oh my gosh.
So but like as she's doing her job with her two coworkers, Harvey and Yifei, she's starting to notice most of the body she's cleaning up are like parts of Asian women, mostly around Chinatown.
Oh my God.
So
Oh my gosh.
So this is definitely an adult book. It's very emotionally intense, I would say, especially since this is all about like the rise of like anti-AAPI
Yeah.
stuff, and she does have like encounters with with supernatural and scarier real world stuff. So her aunt, who is Chinese, keeps telling her you should burn some paper and say a prayer, especially for your sister, with the upcoming Hungry Ghost Festival in August 2020. And she doesn't.
Oh my gosh.
That's
So-
a big mistake.
She starts seeing her sister
Oh my gosh.
everywhere. And she starts seeing other figures,
Other hungry ghosts.
hungry ghosts. And these are like vicious, really, 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 really starving ghosts. They're like Kirby. They will inhale and eat anything, even people.
Oh my gosh.
Like anything. So she has to find a way to, one, cope with her grief, find out who the serial killer is, and find a way to get rid of the ghosts who are following her around.
All right. Once again, we have a lot going on.
Yeah.
Ashley looks tired out. She's
I'm
just like,
exhausted listening to this.
Yeah. It's so good though, because like the language is very like, it's sharp and like concise, and like you really get into her head, and it's just, you get why she's the way she is. It's just, and the found family aspect is very, actually the best part. That's very like just
I love
heartwarming.
found.
I do too.
Jeez.
On a
Ashley
on a
looks
lighter
like
note.
she's on a lighter note, but it's true crime.
It is true crime.
Or is it?
It's
Or
true crime.
where's the crime?
Where's the crime?
Where's the crime?
Her
Identity
body?
theft is a crime. Jim. Millions of people suffer every year.
Amazing.
Okay, Dwight. So, my book is a nonfiction book, and full disclosure, I read this for another book club. I didn't read anything else this month, but we're doing our best here. It is There Is No E10, How Three Women Caught America's Biggest Catfish by Anna Akbari. And this one blew my mind.
right?
Yes.
My God. It was the most frustrating thing, because I feel like this book should have been 10 pages and then we're done. But the emotional attachment that these women have to this fictional person is just, it has such a grasp on them. So the entire plot of this entire story is this woman, Anna, who is a very successful sociologist in New York, very successful, but I guess rather lonely and failing in the dating world, decides to sign up for an online dating profile. And she meets this person named E10, and it's a hit right from the start. They start talking, and when I say start talking, they don't stop talking.
Right.
It seems to be round the clock, 24/7. They just constantly talk. And she feels that within 2 weeks, he knows everything about her. She knows everything about him. And this is a match made in heaven. Like, seal the door, we're done. She found her guy. So the only issue is she's never met him. And every single time she tries to meet him, he has something that he can't. Work has me tied up. And,
she was away for part of it, too.
She was. In Ethan's defense.
Ethan's defense, who knew I'd be defending Ethan?
Yeah.
Don't like that.
But literally, there's an excuse for everything. He doesn't feel it's time for them to talk on the phone, so she can't hear his voice. He refuses to Skype or Zoom. This is happening a little, like, what is it, early 2000s, like mid 2000s?
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people didn't have cameras, they were saying.
Their the cell phone thing, like Zoom wasn't a thing yet. It was only Skype if they wanted to have any kind of video call.
Right.
So, but he was adamantly against that because he wanted to meet in person before they could do any kind of Skype call.
First impressions and all.
Yeah. So for, I think it winds up being like a month or so that
a little bit more, I think.
That this Anna is playing along with this. And in this time, Ethan tells her there's a lot of weird circumstances. Like, he's an MIT student, he went to Columbia, and Anna has friends who have the same kind of background, but they don't recognize the name, don't recognize his photo, don't recognize him at all. So she's a little suspicious, like, if he actually is or was a student. So that's one of her first red flags. The other thing is he has an Irish phone number because he does a lot of business in Ireland.
Yep.
And she finds that strange that, like, well, just that's strange. It's weird. And so that's another kind of red flag. And the constant, like, dodging meetups and reasons why they can never meet up. And then there is he tells her that he's been diagnosed with cancer. So then she would be a horrible human being to just drop him. So
it's like abusive and manipulative, right? Why would you do this? Do you know what I'm going through?
Plays, he gaslights her so hard. Like, he just plays her.
Like a fiddle.
Like a fiddle.
Like a fiddle.
I just could not believe and how emotionally invested she is in this person that she only has spoken to through, like, texting and emailing. Right. So she starts to get annoyed with him, to put it lightly. Like, she's getting, like, infuriated with him. So then you start entering in these other characters who, I don't remember what the transition is. How does she meet British Anna?
So she had texted her friend, do you know this Ethan Schumann? Because he was at
the school,
high school.
That's
and
right,
MIT.
that's right.
And then the friend gets back to her however much later. It's like, you're never going to believe this. Someone else just asked me about the same
question.
guy.
Yeah. Yes, and that's where you enter in British Anna. So now Ethan had disclosed that he had a relationship with, ironically, another woman named Anna in England, and they were, like, madly in love. Of course, they met. In theory, he tells Anna that they met, but British Anna never met him either. Yeah. But this poor British Anna he had her wrapped around his finger for years, like 2 years that he was, or that they had their online thing going on. Now, it was easier because she was in England and he was in theory in the U.S., so they couldn't meet up. So that's how that relationship kept going. But it was the same thing, the manipulation, the lies, and it was so much. And then you find out that there's another person named Gina who also had a relationship very similar to what Anna and British Anna had with him. So these three women join
Team up.
forces.
Yeah.
And with their powers combined,
They figure it out in 24 hours,
Yeah.
which I think is amazing.
Phenomenal.
They figure out what's going on. This is not a spoiler. Ethan does not exist. It's in the
Yes.
title. There is no Ethan. But you find out the truth about who is behind the facade. And
when you find out.
But it's also what's so crazy about it is most of the time, if somebody is doing this, they're doing this and then asking for money or
yeah.
asking for
Right.
this or asking.
It's
Ethan
nothing.
never asked for anything.
if anything, Ethan offered to pay.
He
them
does. He
money.
offers to pay one. He does pay.
I know.
Somebody
But
else.
that's hush money,
That's
Brit.
hush money. I know. I know. But yeah, it's like why? Why?
To what end? And that's
Why do this?
Why are you doing this? And they never really get an answer. Unfortunately, and the answers are all like lip service. It's just like, okay, But the thing that blows my mind is as this case is they cracked it. It's solved, it's done. The person continues to do it under a
Right.
different name. I'm like, why is this still happening? It is just an absolute it's a bad accident. You cannot help but just
Stare.
keep watching
Yeah.
it.
Yes.
And just keep reading. And it's truly a study in, I don't know.
I think
Psychopaths?
Psychopath. If you think of some of our other books and some of the psychopaths who are cult leaders, that this Ethan has that kind of both the sense of who to target.
Yep.
And the ability to draw them in really quickly
Yeah.
with love bombing and then to totally manipulate and gaslight. It's really, I mean, honestly, I do feel like this would be a sociopath.
Yeah,
I mean,
because there's zero remorse.
No.
It's
No.
like playing out a game and just playing out
Yeah.
a scenario to see how it ends up.
Right.
Not realizing that you are destroying the mentality of these very successful women.
Yeah.
That are, like they don't really need this.
Yeah.
They just want it.
Yeah.
And man, it just it destroys their life, even whether for a long time or a short time.
Right.
But they just it is a bizarre book.
and true.
Yeah.
It's
I mean, if
true.
somebody
I
tried to
know.
write this, you'd be like, come
on.
on.
Right.
I know. The only thing that makes me feel a little bit better, because when you find out who Ethan is and you find out what they do for a profession, I feel like I was devastated by
Right.
that news.
Yep.
But when you Google the name, how this person even has a career, I have no idea. Because most people will research before they...
Right.
I'll just tell you, this person is a doctor. You're going to research the doctor.
Usually.
Yep.
And the first thing that comes up is this whole catfishing site. Why you would then pursue them as your physician, I don't know.
Yep.
But
Exactly.
it was really wild. And it is an adult book, but there's definitely YA appeal because of how much you're
100%.
putting out there on the internet and just how easily, and I do think that there are more challenges in place now with advancement of technology and the screening process with online dating profiles and stuff like that. I think it would be a little bit harder to pull off, but that these people exist, that they can manipulate, they can shift their identity, and
It's just terrifying.
it's so scary. But you should be aware of like who's lurking out there,
Right.
If I had learned anything from There Is No Ethan, is I would not survive the dating scene now. There is no way I could do it. So
It is.
it was a roller coaster.
The thing that it will bother me, and I don't think that this is really much of a spoiler because the whole book is really more so just watching all of this and the manipulation happen. But the thing I can't wrap my head around is why. So Anna ends up meeting the person who she thinks is Ethan, like the person who the photo was.
Photos. Right.
And I just feel like,
that
man,
part was nuts.
I just feel like, setting yourself, like you just are a glutton for punishment. Like just putting yourself through that emotional moment of being like, I think this person knows everything about me. And yet it's a totally different person. Like the mind web that is being woven while you're sitting there. I don't know why you would do that, but
I guess in some sort of sick way, it's like closure.
Right.
You know?
yeah, because that was the only time that she met. And then that was it. So that's
wild.
true.
crazy. It's such a good book. Everybody read it.
It was good. Yeah, I liked it. It was very good.
If you want to be frustrated for how many pages? Was that 300 pages?
Yeah, it's
just read it.
I don't know, but that's another one I inhaled.
Me too.
I read it
when
in a snap.
you came in and you came in hot. You're like, you got to read this. I was like, I'm in. I'm invested, and I could not put it down either. It is really good. All right, so switching gears, if you ladies are still with me, our topic for today was actually inspired by Miss Olivia and her Olivia in the Stacks. Yeah. So she had asked a question about classics, and it got us thinking. Why? What is classics? Like, why the category? Who decides? Why are books considered classics that we don't think should be classics? And the list we kind of went off on a tangent, and we're like, maybe we should table this. Like, maybe we should sauce these nugs a different time. and now is the time. So I guess our topic is classics. Like, let's get into it. Let's get what defines a classic? What is our criteria?
Well, what was Olivia's question? Olivia in the Stacks. It was, what's a book that we think should be a classic. And then Justin and I had a separate conversation about books that should not be classics.
Yes.
So that was where we went off on the deep end there.
Yes. So I looked it up, and I did find that, classics, there's a lot of criteria that you have to reach, a particular style, something that's timeless, the first or the highest worth of quality, something that's just, it's going to stand the test of time. Like, you read it and you're like, like this sets up all of this that follows it. Like, that is the criteria. But then you look at the list that Rosa provided, and you're just like, I don't know if I would necessarily put that book there, or do that with that. But what are your initial thoughts, ladies? Any?
So we offered. I have to classify books, catalog books in our young adult collection, and one of the categories is YA classic fiction, and I remember looking to fill out that section and thinking, well, this could be a classic. I mean, do I get to decide? Is there a list? Is there a definitive list? No. So who says it's a classic? And I was looking to try and diversify and get some that are, a little bit more representative of the world. And a lot of the books that are on there, I feel like that are in our mind as a classic, don't represent the whole world, the whole spectrum. And then, like you said, there are books on there that I'm thinking,
maybe, like maybe at the time it was,
at the time, right?
But now, like with everything that we know and kind of the diversity in books that we've gotten so far, like. I don't think some of the books stand like has any standing in
which is
the category.
Supposed to be what we're saying it is, right? That it will stand the test of time,
right?
I mean, I feel like as far as developing our collection here at the library, a lot of it defaults to what the schools are asking the kids to read. But then that begs the question, are they reading the books that they should be reading? It's really a lot of the books that they've been reading forever.
Right.
Which also brings in the whole other question, which is the topic that makes me crazy, is we have kids at 14 years old read these books that they have no life experience to hold. There's no framework to understand The Great Gatsby.
Yeah.
Right.
You read it before you've ever had to pay for your own coffee. So trying to understand,
Yeah, absolutely.
It's why it's so important to reread a lot of the stuff that you were introduced to at maybe an inappropriate age.
Yes.
That being said, there are still some that do not work because, and I know that this is controversial.
Oh, here it is.
I hate Catcher in the Rye. I will always hate Catcher in the Rye. I read it when I was 16. I read it again when I was 24. And when was the last time? I tried it again fairly recently. I just hate it because it's too heavy-handed. I feel like it's too obvious what the author's trying to do, and I get it, and it doesn't work for me.
Right.
And
I feel that way with On the Road.
That's fair.
That's fair.
The beat writers were rough to get through. That's true.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, maybe you also need to be imbibing some of the substances they were
might help.
in order to understand.
I mean, I don't recommend it, but sure. I guess.
Some of them are yeah, and a lot of, I feel like too, it almost comes off pretentiously where it's like, oh my God, On the Road, is it on? Yeah, because The Road is Corey McCarthy. The other one, On the Road, Jack Kerouac. Like, oh my God, this is a classic. You have to read it. And then you get like 3 pages in, you're like,
what am I reading?
These aren't sentences. Why won't he take a breath?
Yeah.
And it's hard to get through, and it's like, you just can't help but roll your eyes. And I feel like that's how it's set up.
No, that's fair.
And we have people come in and say, they would like their child to be, or teenager to be reading more classics. I'm never going to hand them on the Road or Catcher in the Rye. That's never going to be one of the books I'll turn to.
Yeah. No, not when there are better ones out there.
Right. But then in the same breath, I Frankenstein, like that to me, that's a classic. Like Mary Shelley, 18-year-old writing this gothic,
right?
And it's to this day, people are still remaking versions of it.
Jane Austen,
that's another topic for another day.
The Brontes,
yes, the Brontes,
yes.
I mean, a lot of it is these are things that are still being read in high school, and to what criteria are we holding these books up?
Well, it's interesting that you mentioned Frankenstein, because Mary Shelley is a fascinating study.
Oh my gosh, her life! Oh my gosh!
But I think that's kind of reflective. We just mentioned all female writers. Yeah, that they all have classics. It's like, but this was at a time when it was not that female writers didn't exist.
Right.
So to look back on that, like, is that part of it? That's like, it's who's writing it that makes that story so much more important.
That's fair.
Because obviously you have John Steinbeck, you have
Orwell,
you have Whitman, you have all of these old
Hemingway.
white guys.
And I mean, I think there's a lot of those that are also still classics.
Absolutely.
A lot of those do hold up.
Yeah.
Lord of the Rings is still very powerful.
And there's remakes, there's versions of it. Like there's, again.
So, but then you can make the argument then it doesn't matter who's writing it.
Right.
Is it the story? That's the most important part of it.
Is it the story? Is it the writing?
Right. I don't know.
Is it the message?
I think all of the above. I think, honestly, like when you read a book and you're like, at the end of it, you're like, that's the first time I've read anything like that.
Right.
Like that to me is a sign of a true classic. And,
so, however many years ago it was, I can't believe it's been years, but when we were debating The Giver versus The Hunger Games.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd say both of those deserve to be classics.
Absolutely.
They're not technically accepted that way.
No. But it's a staple in YA, like literature.
Absolutely.
Like in any MLS class that you take and you're working with children, or that's your concentration, like those books are there. Like that's like, these are the foundation of young adult literature.
So does there have to be a certain amount of time that passes? I mean, The Outsiders has kind of made its way into the classics, and
I mean, they're contemporary classics
too. Yeah.
So that's rough.
And it's also, it's clear that the Hunger Games were influenced by other things.
100%.
So, you could also argue, like, is it the originality too? Like, is it an original idea? Because you could make that argument that The Giver wasn't even original either, because there were other stories, dystopian stories that predated The Giver.
Right.
So should those stories
Brave New World, right?
Brave New World,
yeah.
Fahrenheit 451.
Yeah, exactly.
Anthem,
those are
all of those stories are those are all considered classics as well. But maybe it's not the originality of it, the development of it.
So we clearly are also at a
So
stalemate.
basically, we have no idea. We don't know.
We know what we like.
I feel like Rosa wants to say something.
No, I just don't know how to define. Like, there's no definitive, like, standard for classic. Like, in my head, it's just like a literary work that has historical or cultural value by expanding, celebrating, or making commentary on the human condition.
That's a pretty
Yeah.
good one there.
That
I
is
like that
good.
There it is.
definition.
We found a definition, guys.
Yeah.
Good job, Rosa.
So I don't know, like, but the thing is, a lot of these so-called classics, again, have such a myopic perspective.
Yeah.
Like, it's usually straight old white men from
Right.
back then. So like, we don't really consider like other perspectives. Like, we rarely hear about like Octavia Butler or Phyllis Wheatley or it's just very recent that people, like, whoever decides these things, like, goes, oh, maybe we should include those.
Toni Morrison got in there, I think,
Yeah.
pretty early.
Yeah.
And Shelley,
Yeah.
Mary Shelley.
Yeah. And then there's also like, there's
Baldwin.
genre snobbery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it's only like when we think of like fantasy classic, we think usually of like Tolkien, but like, what about other fantasies? It's just, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, the one, other than the beatniks, because I can't stand them,
Yeah.
the
Same.
classics that I don't believe deserve to be on any list is anything by Ayn Rand, Fountainhead Anthem, and
Anthem's
and
good.
my
No,
worst one.
It's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah.
was good, though.
Oh,
Yeah.
man. If you feel like reading 1,000 pages
Yeah.
of just
Yeah.
what?
Atlas Shrugged was like the bane of my existence.
Atlas Shrugged was
Yeah,
rough.
that was rough.
Yeah.
These are all fun reads to have in college.
I liked Anthem though. Anthem was, and that's a novella. It's a short story. So, but
It was easier.
she's-
It's better written. I think it's more accessible, but I just find her philosophy so
that's fair.
awful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so Twain.
Yeah.
Let's
Yeah.
go into this.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
One of my friends, hi Kelly, if you're listening, told me that her son was given in his college literature class a question to debate. Should Huckleberry Finn be a classic that's assigned in high school? And, come up with that. And I mean, the assigned in high school part makes me pause for a minute because, as we were saying, we feel like they don't have the same life experience. It's nothing to do with your ability to comprehend. It's just the experiences you have.
Right.
But, I just reread The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn because I read James and I wanted to go back because it had been so long. And part of me thought, why is this a classic? And I had so many issues with so many things. But at the same time, that has stood the test of time. It was unique in its time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I certainly enjoyed it. If you're going to read it, though, I would pair it with James because I thought that was fabulous to get Big Jim's perspective,
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Well, it's interesting too to see how like Huckleberry Finn paved the way for James to be written,
Right.
obviously.
Right.
So, and James was the won a Pulitzer, right? So
James.
James did, right?
Pulitzer or National Book Award or maybe
One of the
both.
awards, yeah. So clearly
Right.
there has to be some element of classic in Huckleberry Finn to pave the way for something like that to be written.
Yes.
Because imagine if it was just some random book. You'd be like, what is this
No, I mean,
about?
I would say the whole point is to re-envision
Right.
Huckleberry Finn from
So
Jim's perspective.
So even if it doesn't withstand the test of time, it opens itself up to
Right.
a new interpretation.
And
or
there
a new-
is maybe more so in Tom Sawyer, but there is a lot in there that I think is fabulous
Right.
in the book. But there's a lot also that's kind of horrifying.
Yeah.
But should a book not horrify us? I mean, if it's
No.
horrifying, that's kind of
I think that's why it
that's a good
sticks
thing.
with you
right.
a lot.
Like, how was this okay to publish this,
Right.
and how was it okay to act like that, and to speak like that, and to treat someone like that? Right.
Absolutely.
You can't whitewash it all out.
Yeah.
No. That's why it's so important that they stick around, those
Yeah.
books.
Yeah. Anyway.
So we haven't really settled on anything other than the fact that we can all agree that it's a very debatable topic in general.
You can also have your own personal classics.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, I know that if a parent is looking for classics for their high schooler, like I know which ones I kind of tend to lean towards, only because I know like it impacted me in a way when I read it in high school. It might do the same for them. But again, every kid is different. It's so interesting that like you can sell a book, you could tell a kid what it's about, but like at the end, like they'll decide for themselves, like if they,
Which is a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we would have a very limited library.
Yeah, and even if like you recommend a classic or you make somebody read a classic and they don't like it, but it makes them think about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like,
Honestly,
I think it has value.
Absolutely.
Right.
When Justin and I were having that conversation about books that we didn't think should be classics, most of them I haven't reread since high school.
Yeah,
and it makes
same.
me think like, oh, maybe that's why I don't like this, because I read them when I was 16.
Or maybe you liked it and it made that impression on you, which is kind of what it was supposed to do.
Right.
I mean, maybe you were supposed to be disgusted.
Right.
There was when I first started working here, I remember I had, when I was in high school, we had to read Samuel Beckett's Waiting for Godot, and I remember hating every second of it, and arguing with my teacher at the time, being like, "Why are you making us read this? It leads to no discussion. This is like existentialism stinks. I hate this." And I was like, "The chair is there. I see it. Like, don't tell me it's not there." And I remember having that argument with him, and then I started working here, and I heard teens talking about Waiting for Godot. I was like, oh my God, it's never going to leave me. It's just always going to be there. And then I emailed him. I said, just want to let you know that this has become one of the most relevant books because it's brought up so often, whether joking or overhearing other people talking about it. And I just told him, I was like, I hated that book, but now I have like a whole new respect for it.
And
'cause
did
I hear
you
it
apologize?
a little bit. maybe not verbatim, but I did.
In her way.
In my way.
I think the email enough was an apology.
He wound up sharing it with his class. So I was like, all
so
right.
great.
Because I just said, I was like, you know what? I couldn't appreciate it at the time, but now I do. And I think that's the purpose of all books is to give you something to think about, maybe not right away, but down the line you'll be like, I read something that reminds me of this.
Love books that leave you just thinking. Those are like my favorite.
Yeah.
I mean, like, sometimes you just need like to read something to get your mind distracted from what you are. But like sometimes you just really want that insightful read, like that read that's gonna make you think, like
chew on it for a while.
like, oh my God, what did I just read kind of moment. So many good stuff, you guys.
There's a lot of
And
good
we
stuff.
definitely recommend rereading books that you read.
Absolutely.
I mean, I can't even tell you the handful of times I read The Alchemist at different stages of my life, and it's still resonates with me, and it's one of my favorite reads to just visit. For no reason other than like to change my perspective on my age at the moment and what's important to me. So, thank you, ladies, and unfortunately, this is our last podcast.
We forgot. We said that so many times
We
last
thought-
month.
I know. I'm not back from maternity leave. I haven't left yet.
She's not back. She never left.
No.
But she is going to leave us, and we are very sad. But we promise to keep with the horror and the gore. Clearly, I gravitate towards it
You're
without
welcome.
unknowingly doing so. But we all miss you.
I'll be listening, so.
And thank you guys for sticking with us throughout that conversation and for hopefully borrowing or listening to any of the books we recommended. And we'll see you next month. Ciao.
The All Booked podcast is written, directed, and hosted by Justin, Rosa, Ashley, and Brittin, and produced and edited by Olivia Esteban. All Booked is produced by the Ridgewood Public Library. Please consider subscribing and sharing with friends, and follow us on Facebook. You can find links to the books we talked about today in the description. Thanks for listening, and keep reading.